This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3, VSiN By The Books. I'm Dave Ross here, downtown Las Vegas, Nevada at Circus Sports. He is our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Great hour coming up here. Rachel Doerrie is going to join us as well to break down everything going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They have been spectacular, so we'll catch up with Rachel. But without further ado, we always love to catch up with the king of Connecticut, the one and only Will Hill. Follow him on X at not the Will Hill. But the Will Hill does join us now here in the Progressive Guest Line, and also the host of the Should Have Bet More podcast. Will, did you have a special guest on for today's show for Should Have Bet More?
Yes, our booking agent did a fantastic job. Not sure how we were able to land Dave Ross off of his illustrious vacation, but made it happen. Had a good podcast. 42-minute episode. They're usually a little shorter than that. So
Whoa!
Conversation must have been good.
Somehow, Jensen, somebody must have been talking a lot on that thing. I'm not sure who it was. Check out the Should Have Bet More podcast. It was a great conversation as always. Well, let's start very quickly with the breaking news today that it's going to be the Cowboys and the Eagles to begin the NFL season here on that Thursday, September 4th. Jensen and I were talking a little bit about it, and I know you remember last year when it was the Chiefs and the Ravens. I think it was 2.5, 3. And it really didn't move for the months leading up to that opener very much, maybe a half point. For people that want to hop on the number today, would you expect movement there? 746.5 is what we're seeing right now.
It's interesting. I hadn't seen the number as you're talking about. I was like, would they really give you like a 7.5? I just kind of was thinking around 7, which is a key number. So, my advice would be to shop around, because if you like the Cowboys, see if you can get a 7.5. If you like the Eagles, see if you can get a 6.5. I know it's pretty basic, but shopping is so important when it comes to these key numbers. I remember Chiefs Ravens was bouncing back and forth between the key number 2.5, 3.
Right. I
think even some 3.5s briefly, and it looked like it was headed for overtime. Although that was a situation where it looked like Baltimore was going to go for 2 at the end. So my advice here, not even just to take one team or another, would be shop. Look for the hook if you like Dallas. See if you can get under 7 if you like Philly. Number looks about right. Remember, we talked about it, a month ago or so, and I'm high on Dallas just because I think they're overlooked a little bit. Quarterback's the most important position. Dak, for all of the consternation, and you listen to some of these shows, and you think Dak is like lucky to be in the league. Finished second in MVP 2 years ago. He's a good player. Now they got a couple receivers with Pickens and Lamb. They got Parsons on the other side of the ball. I know the rest of the team there's questions about, but I mean, it's the NFL. There's so much variance when it comes to defense and offensive line. These rosters turn over so much. Look, I don't love the coaching hire. I'm not sure where that came from, and it's a tough division. Philly's obviously the class of the league. Washington's good. But them winning like 9-10 games with that quarterback, with that roster, and being in like the second round of the playoffs, it's not far-fetched to me. They won, 12, 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
With Dak before he got hurt last year. And last year, they, even without Dak, I thought they played pretty well. So I think that the Cowboys in general are overvalued. But I'm sure when the time comes here, we will all be teasing the Eagles from 7 down to 1 and finding them something else with week 1. You won't be, but other people will.
We're going to strike that from the record, Jensen. The rest of the conversation will stay on the record, but that part, we're going to strike that one.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let me give you some love for the hat, the Durham Bulls hat. Durham will always have a special place in my heart, the site of where I got the call to the big leagues for the first time. Walking across the street there from Durham Bulls Park. So well done by you. Can we find a better effort from the Warriors tonight? Again, just kind of seeing where without Steph, it was really off the rails quite quickly from a scoring perspective. I know you have a play in the team total here. Is this last stand, though? If, again, you go down and then have to go back to Minnesota, it feels like a fool's errand for them to be able to win this series. But last stand for you from the Warriors here tonight?
Absolutely. This is basically an elimination game. I think that it's possible Saturday night was their chance to steal a game. They're just so overmatched. They got the throwback performance from Butler. When Gobert was off the court, they were able to attack the basket, and it looked like for a moment they were going to steal that game. It looked like a moment Saturday night. All the lower seeds were going to be up 2-1. The fact that they couldn't close that game out, I don't think bodes well for them. I've been on their team total under the 2 games without Steph, and they've both gone under. They both got a little dicey at the end, but there's not a lot of scoring. They're trying to push the Kuminga button. It's a lot of Buddy Hield and Butler trying to dial it back from where he was a couple of years ago and get back onto that level in terms of a playoff performer. There's just not a lot of offense. There's not a lot of explosiveness. I always hesitate to undersell this team, this franchise. They've got such a winning culture. All of that being said, Kerr and Draymond and Butler's a great winning player, even though he's never actually won a title. It just seems like they're drawing dead without Curry. The attention he draws, if you ever watch Curry off the ball, he gets so much attention off the ball constantly. And now that attention is dedicated to other players, and it's just there's so few options, I should say, here for the Warriors. So I'm going to go under team total 96.5. I think that Saturday night was their chance to steal one. I feel like Minnesota probably gets the next two and knocks the Warriors out. And it's sad. It's a bummer to think this way, but this could have been Curry's last chance to ever be in a conference finals. I actually think they were going to win the series if he'd stayed healthy, but look, he's 37, 38 now. The West is really good with Luka on the Lakers and Jokic and OKC and eventually Wembanyama and the Spurs. I don't know that he's ever getting back. It'd be a bummer if, look, he's had a great career, 4 titles and all that. He's been to another finals, but might have been the last run here for Curry and the Warriors. I hope not, because I love watching him play, but it does feel like it's a little bit of a tall task here with no Curry.
Down 2-1 here. Golden State's 22-1 to win the West. By the way, Minnesota's now plus 285. So you had those 21 tickets in pocket. We talked about in the network before the postseason began. You're sitting pretty. I did not. I wish I did with Minnesota. What about the Knicks tonight? And again, I kind of look at this. You're talking about the last chance to dance here. Game 3 was an abomination there. Everybody was hyped up at the Garden. 45,000 for 4 seats? What we were hearing, ridiculous pricing there. I don't know if the buzz is off Game 4. I never believe it will be in New York when Boston's in town. But we got to expect a better puncher's chance tonight at a Tibbs and Company, right?
I would think so. Jeff Van Gundy used to always say when he was calling these games, we talk so much about adjustments, but the best adjustment you can make is to just play better. And the Knicks have to play better. The Knicks have really, if you look at it, they've trailed for like 90% of this series, which is strange to say about a team that's up 2-1. 5 of 25 from 3. It's just not enough attempts. It's obviously not enough makes, especially when Boston's going to bury 23s. Now, the truth is somewhere in the middle with the Boston threes, where they were awful the first 2 games and they were on fire in Game 3. I think the Knicks have to play better. They got to play better offensively. Brunson has not done a lot except for the end of these games. I think you'll get a better performance here from the Knicks finally on offense, I would think, because they're better than what they've shown through the first 3 games. Could you make the case it's a must-win for the Knicks? It's been such a weird series with all these road teams winning, but you feel like if Boston is able to get it to 2-2 with 5 at home and 7 at home, they're in good shape. That being said, they haven't taken care of home court advantage, but I'll take the 6.5. I'll bet on them to play better, to shoot better, and to keep this game close.
I love the angle, Will, and love your next angle here for Game 5, moving day, if you will, in this series between the Nuggets and the Thunder back home. I know you have Nuggets in pocket at a better number already. It's down to 10 on DraftKings here. Thunder the favorite at home. Give us a couple of player props that you're looking at for this game as well.
Yeah, we were very close to having a different conversation about this series and about the Thunder. They were down 8 in the fourth quarter, about to be down 3-1, and it was going to be a lot of, are they a regular season team? Are they frauds? It was about to be ugly for the Thunder. Give them credit. They stepped up defensively. They did enough offensively. So I would look to take the 10 with Denver. There just doesn't seem to be that much of a difference between these two teams. And Jokic hasn't even shot great, and they're sitting here 2-2. And OKC, look, they might have answered the call, but they still have a tendency to get a little bit tight on offense. That being said, I am going to, besides taking Denver plus the 10, Lou Dort under 9.5 points. He was not in the closing lineup yesterday. He went from 34 minutes in Game 3 down to 19 minutes in Game 4. Only scored 6 points, went 2 of 10. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a cutback on Lou Dort. Look, they've got a lot of bodies they can throw out there. Caruso, Case on Wallace, and it's a deep team, deep bench. So under 9.5 points for Dort. And I'm going to go over assists for SGA. It's 6.5, 7.5. You could pick your juice. He had 7 in Game 3, 6 in Game 4, so it looks properly priced. But his projected assists, or potential assists, I should say, have been in the 20s. They're just not making shots off of his passes. So you figure at home they'll shoot it a little better, and SGA can have one of these big-time assist games.
I don't want to say this too loudly for Jensen, but I look at Cleveland now. Right?
Oh my God,
this is crazy. Plus 650 now to win the East. They got Indiana could close them out in Cleveland in Game 5. That number 7.5 is down to 6.5. Donovan Mitchell's banged up now. Everybody seems like they're banged up here for Cleveland. Jensen, close your ears. Are they dead? Are the Cavs done? Does it even get back to Indiana for a Game 6?
They're twitching a little, but they're close to being dead. That's the wrong team to face too. I said this Friday and it didn't work out, but I'll say it again. That's the wrong team to face if you're hurt and you're tired.
Yep.
Because Indiana never stops. They just keep coming at you. They pressure you nonstop. They're just such a pest, and they take so much out of you in terms of your energy, mentally, physically. I think Indiana's got a shot to beat them here. I would take the 6.5, and I would take them on the money line. By the way, he doesn't get the heat, at least, nationally. He's not on that level of LeBron, Curry, Durant. Mitchell has had a lot of these playoff kind of, underachieving performances in terms of his team. With the Jazz, they fell apart. They blew a 2-0 lead one year to the Clippers. They were the higher seed to the Knicks a couple years ago. They lost in 5. Mitchell's teams, for whatever reason, he doesn't get, the grief that some of these other superstars get. His teams have had a lot of these, and this would be a bad one. You win 64 games and you lose in 5 or 6 in round 2. That's a bad one. We're not there yet, but I do like Indy plus the points.
Yeah, I think that's the only way I can play it.
Yeah, Will, crazy that we did not get on the MVP in the field versus Judge. I think it's unbettable now.
It's crazy. What's he minus 2,000, right? I mean, it's insane. We're in the second week of May or whatever. It's crazy.
And nobody ever gets hurt, especially Judge.
I know.
Check out the Should Have Been More podcast. Fantastic guest that he had on this week. So check it out. The Should Have Been More pod. When we come back, news or noise, it is next.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
Fantastic conversation in the last segment with Will Hill, as always. Can't wait for our conversation with Rachel Doerrie coming up next here on VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here with you. Just in passing as we get ready for a numbers game with Gil Alexander. Kelly Bidwin's already in studio. It's just when I see Kelly at this time of year, Jensen, I just go like, how excited are you for the majors? Second major of the year is upon us here with the PGA Championship. So I see Kelly, and then I immediately, my brain goes right to who you picking for the PGA. So we can't say who because they're going to have their own show. They got also a little podcast called Long Shots. You might want to check that out with Matt and with Wes Reynolds, of course, this week. So cannot wait for the second major, and we'll get to a lot of that as the week goes. But now we have to determine, is this news or a whole lot of noise?
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
In the last hour, buzzing the tower, you gave great advice out there to the kids. Just play. Just play the game. Don't be about all the other stuff. Shedeur Sanders is about a lot of stuff, man, right? I mean, we get it. It's the full package that comes with it. It's not just playing the game. What do we read in, if anything, news or noise, that he's going to take the number 12, Shedeur Sanders? Because there was another guy that he's pretty close with that wore number 12. Some guy named Tom Brady wore 12. And we know that Tom and Shedeur, they've had this relationship throughout Shedeur's upbringing. What do you make of that number selection, if anything at all?
Well, as far as it relates to Cleveland Browns history, as far as quarterbacks go, old Vinny Testaverde wore that number at one point. The old Josh Gordon wore that number for some reasons he biased. Colt McCoy, also Luke McCown, Jeff Driscoll. So some heady company here for Shedeur Sanders wearing number 12. But I know what you're alluding to, the old Tom Brady as a mentor to Shedeur. Mm-hmm. I guess the caveat here, Dave, I was so hoping that the Cavaliers would have a long playoff run because I am so not ready for the paralysis by analysis of this quarterback room. for Cleveland in Berea. Amateur hour here on Sports Talk Radio, day in and day out. It is just sickening, the amount that you have to jump into what's going on right now here. Go out and play. I hope he does well. That makes the team better. But listen, hey, if this is an homage to Tom Brady, more power to him. I hope that if he has anywhere near what Tom Brady's career looked like, then we're winning a Super Bowl here in Cleveland.
Do you read in, though, that, like, I'm taking 12 because, like Tom Brady, coming out of Michigan, nobody thought about me, 6th-round pick, right? Like, I'm a later pick than I should have been. Is there anything to that, or do you think, nah, Tom's my guy? So you mentioned it. There's nobody that wore 12 in Cleveland that's made this number anything of note. Maybe it is a way for him to put a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder and say, I don't know if I can be the Tom Brady of Cleveland, but I'm sure the Browns fans would love for that to be the case.
Yeah, well, they would. I mean, I don't even know if it's even apples to apples. I don't even know if it's close to apples to oranges because really nothing was made of Tom Brady going into the draft. Everything. Mel Kiper's wall had posters of Shedeur Sanders headed into it. So, I feel that certain guys need to do certain things for motivation. If this is for him, go right ahead, man. To each their own. I go back to kind of what I said in Buzz in the Tower. Let your actions do the talking. Mm-hmm. If I'm him, I'm answering every press conference with, I haven't proven anything yet.
Yes.
I haven't done anything yet. Let me go out and play. All I'm asking for is an opportunity to play. That's it, period.
By the way, those markets that were up for first snap to be taken, I'm sure they'll be repopulated. Don't see them right now on DraftKings. That'll be interesting. You can't carry 4 quarterbacks. So you got the 2 rookies there, and then you got the 2 veterans ahead of him in Pickett and Flacco. I'll be curious to see if the talking is now the actions on the field, if number 12 in Cleveland might be able to wiggle his way up that depth chart there in Cleveland. How about in Milwaukee? And this could be potentially breaking news. Look, whenever Shams, I love Shams from our Chicago days, Shams Charania, of course, does a great job breaking down the league. He has noted that Giannis Antetokounmpo is, quote, open-minded about whether or not Milwaukee is his destination next year. Is that news or noise that Giannis potentially could be on the move?
I think it has to be. You and I talked about it when they got eliminated. The injury to Damian Lillard, likely lost for the entirety of this upcoming NBA season. And for Giannis, I think it's fair to sit down and at least get ownership side, the front office side, what's your plan, short-term, long-term. He's earned that. He's the face of the franchise. And if it's not in line with where he wants to go, this is not a Myles Garrett situation where you demand a trade, you double down, and all of a sudden you get paid a boatload of money and you want to stay. So I think and trust me, they will field an immense amount of calls that will be franchise changing to get Giannis Antetokounmpo at this point in his career. You are an idiot if you are a Milwaukee Buck fan and you don't want to entertain that. It's been great having him. Yes, you have a title, but it's time to move on for what's best. And I think that's what ultimately we'll find out.
This has happened before for old heads like myself. I wasn't around when Lou Alcindor won a title for the Bucks, then got moved on to L.A. and became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And at the time, the all-time scoring leader. Of course, we know that LeBron is now past that. But that would be kind of like history repeating, right? Like you win a title with Lou Alcindor, then he becomes a Laker legend as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't think Giannis is going to change his name if he goes somewhere else. But you could see a similar pattern if he wins one in Milwaukee and then becomes something somewhere else. Would you immediately, whatever that team potentially could be, if he really is on the move? I mean, I have no idea what that framework would look like. But you got to think for Milwaukee, they go down to, if without Giannis, there is nothing. That cupboard would be empty. And you have to assume even with whatever Dame Lillard is at this stage, he feels like Dame is good at best. I mean, this could be one of the worst franchises in the league if Giannis is on the move.
I would agree. I mean, and I know there's been rumors about San Antonio trying to get another version, modern-day version of the Two Towers with Wemby and Giannis. I mean, we know with the Admiral and Tim Duncan what that looked like. So, in no small part will Milwaukee be. That's a great market for them immediately. If he goes, Bucks for the worst record in the NBA next year. Absolutely. Well, that's tough to beat the Wizards.
Oh yeah,
but hey, they'll be in contention for it.
Cooper Flag sweepstakes, I believe, is today. So maybe
Yes.
maybe if the Wizards get lucky there, maybe their fortunes change a little bit today. But boy, could you imagine Giannis at Madison Square playing?
Oh God!
Just saying that.
Do not get Joe Sorallo out of bed this early.
Is Wyatt Tomchek? I think he's back there, and I think he's very upset hearing all this Giannis leaving Milwaukee talk. By the way, before the lines move, you got to check out Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com. They're already on the move. They don't change the market. They're going to move it. So not only are you going to get certainly billion-dollar sports books and full-time professional bettors on your own, they're going to give you Sharp Plays. They're going to do it with AI, cutting-edge technology, trusted insider sources. The Sharp Plays deliver the edge that serious bettors rely on. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights, all delivered right to your email or even on X. So it's not overnight startups here. They've been around since 2011. Receipts, public logs, and results right there on the site. That's why they are respected, watched, and feared. That's the Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com. We're going to get to Rachel Doerrie here in the next segment. Of course, we do have our best bets coming up as well. But again, some of the bigger news here, the NFL, we're going to get to the full schedule release as the week goes. When you see the schedule come out, and now we know game one's going to be that Thursday night tilt in Philadelphia, City Brotherly Shove, Eagles 7-point favorites, 46.5 is the total against the Cowboys. Will that change your opinion? Because again, here at Circa, they have not released yet. Other places have. Team win totals. How much of that is predicated to you? Like if you're a Cowboy backer and I want to play that over 7.5, you go, man, maybe I wait if they're going to give them the Eagles Thursday night, ring night, all that stuff that you do, the pomp and circumstance. Cowboys could be 0-1, and maybe you get a better number if you have the patience of Job.
Yeah. My initial thought is I cannot wait for Circa Survivor, Circa Millions to start mapping. That's the first thing that comes to mind when we get schedule release on Wednesday. Is we do that first iteration, at least I do, of mapping out where I want certain teams. So. I think for everyone, I don't know who does it, who has the courage to play any of those teams on the first night in Survivor. Like you're a better person than I am. I could never do that. But certainly a Circa Millions implications too, depending on what that spread ultimately settles at.
I will just say this. If you're going to play a divisional rivalry game on the Thursday night is going to be you've got some you-know-whats on you because I don't know that I could. Divisional matchup, man, just not – there's no way that would be part of my handicap for Survivor in Week 1 with that Philadelphia and Dallas game already on deck. All right, when we come back, let's go north of the border, catch up with Rachel Doerrie, talk all things puck as the second season continues in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is next here on VSiN By The Books.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here with you on the Monday edition. Always love catching up with Rachel Doerrie, north of the border. CTO of Betalytics. You can give her a follow on X as I do at Rachel Doerrie. Does a great job covering the NHL. And Rachel, it's kind of like I did with Jensen earlier in the program with his Cleveland Cavaliers down 3-1 against Indiana in the NBA playoffs. Your Maple Leafs, it's still 2-2. Is the sky falling in Toronto, or are their sane minds going, wait a minute, we still have home ice. Yes, we've lost 2 in a row. Yeah, we got shut out by the Bobber 2-0 yesterday. What is the mood like this Monday morning north of the border?
I think my mood's probably a little different than like the general mood of the average fan. The average fan is like up, down. It's just a giant roller coaster at like Six Flags type of thing. Like they're living and dying and just blue colored glasses on, and their day's ruined if various things happen. It's 2-2 and you're not in trouble till you lose at home. Neither team's lost at home yet. And obviously the Panthers, you got to win. They have to win one on the road. So the Leafs are not in trouble until they lose at home. And whether that's game 5 or game 7, they have to lose at home to lose the series. And so I think everyone just take a breath. Yeah, obviously Anthony Stolarz being out is a problem, and there's no getting around that. But I actually thought probably the most positive thing to come out of last night was it really looks like Joseph Woll has found his game. And if Joseph Woll has found his game, he's a very good goaltender. He's .925 career playoff save percentage. So that's really good. The problem is Bobrovsky seems to have found his game. And so I'd like to see the Leafs employ a little bit of a Panthers tactic and maybe bump him every once in a while, just a casual. You're not trying to hurt the guy by any means, but like make his life uncomfortable. Go to the crease, be annoying, get in his way, do the Matthew Nyes thing. The series is nasty. I do think that letting the Panthers up off the mat in game 3 was a real bad idea. I think the Panthers win the series, meaning that they win 4 of 5, and that's not going to reflect well on the Leafs. But the reality is it probably should be a Panthers-Dallas final. I've been banging that drum for a couple of weeks now, at least if not a month. And I still really do believe that. I think when Florida's at their best, they're the best team in the East. And so if I was Toronto, worried, no. Concerned, yes. Austin Matthews isn't scoring, even though he's the best defensive player in the series, and you lose your starting goaltender. You're not getting the same contribution, but at the same time, there's reason to be positive that the Barkov line has been completely silenced by Austin Matthews, and William Nylander is doing his thing, and Morgan Riley's doing his thing, and so I do think it's the most evenly matched series, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, putting a bow on what we saw yesterday, you mentioned Dallas. Holy good God, Mikko Rantanen has been as good as advertised. The third period to put this one away, and Connor Hellebuck's issues continue here, Rachel. Series over at this point, even though it's 2-1, the way Dallas's momentum is, or do we still hear something here from Winnipeg being able to try and get this one, the equalizer here tomorrow?
If Connor Hellebuck doesn't improve his road play, then this series is done because he's like 1-10 on the road and has like an 800 save percentage. That's just not going to cut it. Like you could bring up an AHL guy, and even you look in game 3, they give up that, we'll call it controversial goal. It was not. That is a goal. And I'm in a group chat with a bunch of NHL video coaches, and all of us needed less than a minute to say goal, 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 goal. We had a consensus. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to be sure, but that was a goal. And he gives up a pretty soft one, like 35, 40 seconds later. It's the inability to bounce back on the road is really concerning. And so, if Dallas wins in game 4, then it's curtains. I'm tempted to say it's probably curtains anyways, because at a minimum, Dallas has 2 more home games, and Connor Hellebuck has not shown that he can play on the road. And so you have that, plus you have the fact that I think Dallas is the better team, and they're without Miro Heiskanen still. They're deeper. Mikko Rantanen is going alien mode. And I mean, we talked about him winning the Conn Smythe early last week, and it was at plus 2,500 or something like that, maybe 2 weeks ago. And he's now the odds-on favorite to win. So I do think that his impact and the fact that Connor Hellebuck just has not been very good is going to tilt the series here. And Winnipeg, if they do not win game 4, they are done, and they may be done in 5.
Rachel, I feel like Canada Saturday, at least for me, Saturday night was the kind of the epicenter of the sports world. I'm watching UFC 315 going on north of the border. And here in Vegas, of course, the big screen was the Golden Knights against Edmonton going on north of the border as well. And that shocking ending to that game when you get the goal inside of a second, I didn't know, was it good? Yeah, it was good. It counts. And VGK gets on the board here. They're going to try to get the equalizer tonight. If you're Edmonton and you led the series 2-0 with 2 wins here in Las Vegas, and you led 2-0 in game 3, talk about giving a team new life. Is this a brand new series here? Obviously, you still get plus 210 on VGK to win the series, but obviously game 4 tonight feels like it's paramount if you're Vegas to get this thing all knotted up north of the border.
Yeah, it absolutely is, because the Oilers, even if the series goes 7, the Oilers have 2 more games at home, and they only need 2 more games to win the series. And so all the Oilers have to do is just not lose at home. The problem that the Oilers have, and the reason I think the this series is now a series has nothing to do with the fact that Vegas won on Saturday night and everything to do with the fact that Stuart Skinner's in goal. Calvin Pickard was playing really well. And Stuart Skinner came in, and I don't know how you are swimming with less than 5 seconds left in the game. You have one job, and that is to be stable in your net. And he couldn't manage to do that. And so that's a huge problem. And it's a backbreaker for the Oilers. It's a momentum builder for the Golden Knights, who more than any other team seem to have this knack for carrying momentum game to game. And that's the type of thing that could break a team in terms of their confidence in their goalie. And yes, they're up 2-1, so you have a bit of a buffer there. But my goodness, not addressing the goaltending through the season for the Edmonton Oilers again is a huge mistake. And so I look at this and I say, yeah, it absolutely is a series. Even if they go up 3-1, I still think it's a series because at the end of the day, goaltending is the greatest equalizer. We saw this with Bobrovsky yesterday. And the Edmonton Oilers are the opposite of that. There are times that they simply can't get a save. And so I would look at this and I would say, yeah, I would probably take Vegas plus 210 on the series, especially with it when there's uncertainty about Calvin Pickard and the Oilers goaltending in general.
Going to be intriguing, too. Our other game tonight, Game 4, Carolina leading the series against Washington. Rachel, I told Dave earlier in the show, if you feel as though this is the inflection point for the Capitals, no better time than perhaps jumping on the money line with them tonight. Size up the matchup and then maybe a series overlook now of where we are, how we got here, and what you anticipate moving forward.
Yeah, I think some of the lines in the playoffs have been absolutely outrageous. And yeah, did the Canes win in Game 3? They did. Should that line have been minus 270? No. If you look at one of the best examples, Carolina played Detroit, a team who finished like 11th in the conference in the East in the back half of the regular season and was minus 270 at home. And you're telling me that should be the same line for playing the number one team in the conference in Game 3 of the playoff series of round 2? That's crazy. So I think there's a massive overcorrection on some of these lines. And yeah, they're winning, but that's not where the value is. Like, the Capitals, should they be underdogs tonight? Yes. Should they be minus 270? No, that's insane. I think, like, at Betalytics, we have it I think we have it closer to like minus 160 is what it should be. Like, it's more than almost 100 points of difference there. And so I think the lines are a little silly and with overcompensating. Carolina's style, really, what we're talking about here is two teams that are excellent defensively, and one team, Carolina, loves the shot volume style, and the Capitals are trying to create the high danger scoring chances. And when you have two really good defensive teams going up against each other and they have defensive styles, the teams with the shot volume are going to have more success, because when you get pucks on goal, as we saw in the Dallas-Winnipeg game, weird things happen and you're more likely to score on a weird bounce, like going off of a shin, a goalie knocking it into his own net. And so, yeah, should the Canes be favored? They should be. Minus 550, I think, is probably a little aggressive. I do think that we're probably going to have a close game tonight, and I would take the Logan Thompson saves angle, and I'd also probably take this game to go to overtime. I could absolutely see that is the case here.
Still kind of bizarre to me, only down 2-1, as we mentioned here with the Caps, and yet in the betting market, they're the longest of long shots to hoist the cup at 19-1. Only down 2-1 in the series, and it just feels like a lack of respect for the number one seed in the East here for the Washington Capitals, but that's what the numbers are telling us. Rachel, we always appreciate the conversation. Everybody remain calm in Toronto. It's still 2-2 in that series. We appreciate it. There we go.
Chill.
Everybody just chill out a little bit. It's going to be okay. Might not be okay, actually. When we come back, we'll get to our best bets. That is next here on VSiN By The Books.
VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Great conversation with Rachel Doerrie north of the border there, talking a lot of things puck, specifically with those Toronto Maple Leafs 2-2 as they go into Game 5 tomorrow night against Florida. Again, I don't want to bring up sore subjects here, Jensen. How long has it been since the Indians/Guardians? It's been since, what's the 40s? Since the Cleveland's
1948.
48,
yeah,
but
1948.
So, like, for the Maple Leafs, is that like a real thing for these cities that, like, you go, oh, no, sky's falling, 2-2, we're up 2-0, and now here comes all those playoff pass failures. I don't know if it can factor into the modern-day handicap for this series with Toronto, but it feels like for the team that's the higher seed here with home ice, as Toronto has, to be the underdog 2-2 with potentially 2 of the last 3 in Toronto, I don't know if that's just history and also how good Florida is, but does that factor in at all?
It would certainly be one, but again, I joked about paralysis by analysis with Sports Talk Radio here in Cleveland about the quarterback room for the Browns. I think that can be said for the fanatical side, and there is a large contingent of that in Toronto. Again, no one talking about how the Blue Jays have won 4 in a row. It's all about the Maple Leafs, and perfectly warranted. I mean, the Raptors, when they were good for a minute, they also played second fiddle to the Leafs. Very similarly, if you go listen in Boston, it is almost nonstop Red Sox, and this is all with the backdrop of the Patriots dynasty happening as well. So just kind of gives you an idea where those pockets of fandom are. As far as the series goes, in where they are, I mean, it's almost that point where if you feel, as Jonathan Davis, gave us those trends from a betting perspective, kind of follow that. We've seen Toronto, especially in this series, be able to get out to an early lead and at least hold it for the home games. And Rachel hits the great point of, the road team has not won a game yet. So if you want to follow that trend, just a reminder for people, and this is courtesy of our friend of the program, Jonathan Davis, and also on VSiN.com. Team who has lost the previous game scored a first period goal in that next game. That is 33-15. The team who lost the previous game scored the first goal of the next game. That's 31-17. Also, the team who lost the previous game scored the first goal of the first period in that next game. That is slightly in favor at 25-23. Home teams overall, and this gets to your point, Dave. Home teams overall, 40-20.
Wow.
40-20 overall for the postseason. 8-5 thus far in round 2. And finally, favorites are 36-24 if you're looking for a Florida Panther angle here. 36-24 overall. However, only 6-7 in round 2. So just ideas to factor in, that courtesy of the great Jonathan Davis, for what we will handicap the next couple of nights on ice.
Fascinating. Again, you can get for the series the team that has home ice advantage with 2 of the last 3 games. Maple Leafs plus $1.60 with all the numbers that JD and Jensen just laid out there for you. It just feels like Shirley Bassey, just another case of history repeating, and that the Maple Leafs, the Blue Jays won back-to-back titles with Cito Gaston. The Raptors have won an NBA title, and it's been forever for the Maple. It is bizarre that those things actually happen in Toronto in other sports and not, sadly, in the sport they care about the most, and that would be the Leafs. Sorry, Toronto. That's just the fact of the matter. Let's get to our best bets. They're brought to us by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. And before we get to our baseball and basketball plays here, of course, we got the numbers game coming up here with Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidwin, and I was asking about the PGA Championship, and Kelly already does have a play in pocket there. It's Justin Thomas 22-1. I like that number a lot for JT. He was in the mix again this week. The Truist there in the elevated event on the PGA Tour. Don't know why they're doing some of those elevated events right before a major. That's a subject for another day. But for guys that are really good on this golf course in specifics, obviously you're going to look at Rory's won there 4 times. JT, great track record here at Quail Hollow at North Carolina. And I almost look at Brooks Koepka and say I've got to almost blindly back Brooksy at a PGA. Now it's 35-1 there. I saw a shorter number here at Circa, which is a bit surprising at 30-1. I don't know if that's respect in the marketplace for Brooks at this major just in general. It's kind of bizarre because it's not the same course, but yet Brooks has already won 3 of these things. What do you make of that? Because I like that ticket of JT at 22-1, and I don't want to play Rory at plus 450, but I can understand why if people do.
And I love to do these combinations.
Yeah.
If you were to take that JT bet and you want to elevate it for higher odds, if you believe the Celtics do win tonight and the Timberwolves win tonight, those moneyline parlays, or at least that moneyline parlay, JT, the Celtics, and the Timberwolves, that gets you to 45-1 for JT if you're interested in that. I did jump on your idea there, Brooks Koepka. He's 35-1.
Yeah. At
DraftKings. One other one, and courtesy of our great friend too, the cup maker Jeff Seeley. This goes because we have NFL news today. He'd put out the idea of, hey, take some anytime touchdown guys and parlay them with some major winners upcoming this year. So I have active a Jalen McMillan anytime touchdown parlayed with Ludwig Oberg, or Oberg, I should say, to win the PGA. That's at 47-1. So I got Oberg in pocket, 47-1, courtesy of a Jalen McMillan anytime touchdown parlay that is active right now.
Fascinating. Those are just very exquisite. I like those wagers. You got to wait. And I don't mind that, man. I'm a futures player in the NFL. I have no problem putting some money away and waiting to see if those tickets cash. But I love that play. By the way, I will not be betting Jocko this week, Joaquin Neiman. And I know Brandon Valesky, our producer, he's down on Jocko too, 30-1 there. We're going to have a great guest list here as the week goes, getting ready, obviously, for the second major of the year starting on Thursday at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Cannot wait for that. You mentioned there with the Cowboys, that is the big news here, and I think I've gotten at least 4 mentions of this game because I'm so excited for it. September 4th here for the Cowboys against the Eagles, 746.5. We talked about it in comparison to last year when the number came out with Will Hill, when it was the Ravens against the Chiefs. If you remember that Thursday night game, numbers really didn't move a ton through the months here, but 746.5. I think you might see more movement on the total in the months to come, but maybe not the side so much.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, that's why I kind of said when you think about where some of the releases will be, and I'm sure we'll get more leaks today, tomorrow, in anticipation of what we get officially there on Wednesday night. To me, it's a lot more of looking at, what do you value here in those week ones? Because you and I both know week one, the scariest time to try and get in because it's a lot of unknowns. You have the new players, you have new head coaches, new OCs, new DCs, all those things factoring in. And then you have overreaction week in week 2, right? So the scariest betting weeks of the NFL season, week 1, week 2, also the scariest survivor ones. Like we talked about the quarterback room there in News or Noise, and also in our highlights and headlines with Derek Carr now officially hanging it up.
Yep.
I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, it'd be great to play in the Dome, but if you're the Saints overall, knowing Arch Manning could possibly come out and you got that quarterback room, and now that you get a tank, but you're not running to the phone and be like, hey, A-Rod, come on down. We'd love to have you here in New Orleans.
Talk about overreaction. Cowboys go to Cleveland, get a big win last year, week 1, and then week 2, they get smoked by the Saints, who are 2-0. And then we saw how terrible the Saints were the rest of the week. So great words there, just to kind of be cautious a little bit early on in the season. Very quickly, some of your best bets that you have out there tonight, already out there for the VSiN Pro subscribers.
Yeah, I did the Oilers in pocket. This was from over the weekend.
Okay.
I did take them on the puck line. I think they rebound plus $1.85 down to plus $1.80 on DraftKings. Also adding to our most wins in May market. We have tickets already, but I did jump on. I'm now on the Gale Alexander train, jumped in 18-1 on San Diego, 19-1 on the Cubs. And I did enter that Brooks Koepka for half a unit, 35-1 to win the PGA. Yep.
If it's a PGA Championship, Brooks Koepka just shows up magically, and all of a sudden he's going to be in that first page of the leaderboard. That's the way it normally works out. Get the GBank Visa Signature Card if you haven't done so already. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money in the card. But GBank treats those gaming transactions as purchases, so you're going to save up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right then and there. Also with GBank, you're going to earn 1% cashback rewards on all of our eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all other eligible purchases. So apply now, VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. So again, 2 games tonight in the NBA, Celtics and Knicks. Knicks 6.5, total sitting there at 208. And as we talked about, Jensen, very quickly, Warriors 5.5, but how about that total? 199.5, NBA playoff 2025. Can it get any lower?
I would lean the over there, right? And if this is going to be a series, Warriors got to win tonight. So forget the points. If you think the Warriors are in it and in the fight, then money line them tonight as well.
Yeah, Steph Curry is walking through the door, but sadly it's going to be in street clothes. That's the problem. Jensen, great to be back with you, my man. We'll do it again tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. We've got a numbers game coming up with Gil Alexander and Kelly Bitt.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.